Hello there guys, and in this tutorial we are going to be talking about compiling a program, and more accurately we are going to explain what does that even mean. Okay, so let's start from the ground up. Let's say I write a program, and let's say that this thing right here presents my program, and so basically this is the source code of my program. Something is written here, and let's say that this is written in C++. Now, my computer doesn't understand C++. My computer, and let's say that my computer is down here, only understands ones and zeros. Okay, my computer only understands ones and zeros. It doesn't really understand C++. Okay, so when computers were invented, programmers used to write in zeros and ones because when computers are invented, languages like C++ and Python and other languages didn't really exist. Okay, even though Python is not, Python doesn't use the tools we are going to discuss in this tutorial, but you know, for the purposes of this tutorial, I just want to say that languages such as C++ and C and Python and PHP and all of the other languages didn't exist. Okay, even though, as we will learn in the next tutorial, there are differences between, for example, C++ and Python. Okay, but just kind of keep that knowledge in the back of your head. It's not going to be of utmost importance for this tutorial. Okay, and so we need to get from here, which is C++, to here, which are zeros and ones. How do we do that? Well, our C++ code actually enters something which is called the compiler. Okay, the compiler. Now, what is a compiler? A compiler is a program that takes your source code and turns it into a string of zeros and ones. Okay, so the compiler actually takes the C++ code and takes it into a string of zeros and ones. And basically zeros and ones are something that your computer understands. Okay, so basically it goes from C++ to compiler, and then it is translated into zeros and ones. Now, some compilers take your source code and turn it into assembly. Okay, so assembly is like this in-between step, and basically assembly is very, very close to zeros and ones. And basically you can just think of this as an intermediary step. Okay, we're not going to focus on that a lot. Now, when the compiler has produced zeros and ones, then this output of the compiler, again, this is the output of the compiler, goes into a linker. Okay, so this goes into a linker. Now, what the linker does is linker actually takes the output of the compiler and adds what is called libraries. Okay, libraries. Okay, and I would say that the arrow direction is wrong here. It's actually like this. Okay, so the linker actually what it does is it takes into account the output of the compiler, and it also takes into account libraries. Now, what are libraries? Libraries are functionalities that you used in your program and you didn't write yourself. And so, for example, a library would be used if you, for example, wanted to access your hard drive, because you wouldn't write that code yourself. If you're a programmer, you wouldn't write the code for accessing the hard drive yourself, but you would use functions that do it for you. And then the linker would have to include that code because you use it in your program. Linker would have to include that code for you to be able to use that code in your program. Okay, so basically those are some functionalities which you didn't write yourself, but you use in your program, and those are contained in libraries. Okay, and then basically the linker, when it links, and so this process of connecting the output of the compiler, that is your program written in zeros and ones, and the libraries, is called linking. Okay, and then finally linker produces what is called executable program file, and in short this is called executable. Okay, executable, but I will just write it as exec because I don't think I will fit in the entire word. Okay, so let's kind of review how the process goes. You write some code in some programming language, C++ or C or whatever else. That language then passes through the compiler. The compiler maybe uses an intermediary step, which is called assembly, but foundationally it transfers your source code into a string of zeros and ones. That string of zeros and ones go into a linker. A linker actually links the libraries. Those are functionalities you didn't write but you use in your program, and then you have the executable program in the end. Okay, so the sequence is source code, compiler, linker, and then the executable program file. Okay, so this is pretty much it for this tutorial, guys. I hope you learned how your programs that you write in higher level languages get translated to a language that your machine understands. And yeah, this is going to be something that we are going to use in the upcoming tutorials. So brace yourselves for some penguin style fun. And I hope to see you in the next tutorial as well.